somebody tell me what is gone? Won't somebody show me? 'Cause I'm lost. I'm ready to love. Yeah, to love. So baby, what in the world went wrong? Oh, how could we get this far from what we had? Why did we lose that hope? So what in the world went wrong? Ooh, I wasn't ready to face that song. I couldn't take it all alone, but we're all survivors. Gotta soldier on, stay strong. Won't somebody tell me what went wrong? Won't somebody tell me what is gone? Won't somebody show me? 'Cause I'm lost. I'm ready to learn. Yeah, to love. So baby, what in the world went wrong? Oh, how could we get this far from what we had? Why did we lose that hope? So what in the world went wrong? Ooh. Somebody tell me what went wrong. Somebody tell me what is gone. Somebody tell me what went wrong. Somebody tell me what is gone. Somebody tell me what went wrong. Somebody tell me what is gone. Somebody tell me what went wrong. Somebody tell me what is gone. What is wrong? Would you tell me what is gone? Good evening and welcome back. I'm Teddy and you're listening to Night Talk. Shout out to the mob. All my other bears I call the Grizzlies. Please hit the like on your way in. Fair use commentary as always. The broadcast is for education, criticism, news reporting, and entertainment purposes only. Also, let me know that the sound is good. I have some background music on right now. It's going to switch off when I get into a topic that is an important one, and that would be the trial of the individual who has been accused in the murder of that 22-year-old college student, Laken Riley. Well, it began today in Athens, so I'm going to talk about that. And but before I do, we'll talk about a couple of other things. Open chat, maybe some music tonight, but not so sure. It really depends on the conversation. All right. So here's why. You know what? There's like a couple of things that can apply to. Let's take the first one before we get into the serious topic. Here's why. So, um, once again, my understanding is trees, another channel was, I guess, struck down today, or it was totally terminated. Someone passed along her new channel. Uh, it's called Trees Please. Yeah, I don't have to post it in the chat. You probably already received it, but someone asked if I could just mention it. Yeah, so I did. I did not watch the video today. So I guess it wasn't the channel she was on today. It was Trees Teas. No, Trees Tea. Okay. All right. I'm looking at a note here. So it was Trees Tea. Okay. And don't know what happened, but I do know that um, it's always suspect. Yeah, always a suspect. Okay, so it's all one word. Trees, please. Joanne put it there. All right. Uh, it's yeah. It's she certainly takes the loss of her channel different than I take mine's because well, she has a huge following that um, sh- that ride with her, ride or die. Yeah, and she should be able to once I guess the word gets out where she is on a backup channel, people will find her. Yeah, okay. It's getting old, and yeah. So the time has come and gone. The deadline has passed. It's now 8:35. So I haven't heard anything, but did I expect to necessarily right at 5 o'clock? No. Okay. Um, I can tell you this: I don't see anything when I looked at the defendant's uh, channel. I don't see any announcement coming from her about anything around that. So we will just wait and see. Mhm. I can only imagine if there was some news. I know I would be looking over all of it and carefully weighing what I would say about any of it. Yes. Hmm. Yeah, I would. To anyone, to anyone. Yeah. Until um, if the information, if anything has been sent, any uh, clues or whatever, any direction, I would weigh it carefully. I would. Okay. So let me just read a few of your comments, and then I'm going to switch it on so that I can get into that other story. But again, it just depends on the comments and where um, the open chat takes us tonight. Yeah. Let us see. Let us start with, let's go up here. Also, shout out to my moderators, Vicky Black and Baby Juju. Thanks for being here tonight. Yeah, Friday. Who else is here? All right, some folks that were here last night. I see Joanne. I see When Doves Cry. Says, hi, Teddy and Mom. Um, Chat will be vibe in the bushes and listen to music. I care for each one of you. All right. And Lisa969, haven't seen you in a little while. Hope you're doing all right. Mhm. Yeah. All right. So I was just looking at something. You can email me also right now at unwindwithteddy@gmail.com. Joyce is joining us again. Treetop Neighborhood Watch and Public Safety Committee is in the bear cave. Okay. Um, hmm, yes. You missed a lot. Yes, you have. I've missed, I've probably missed at least half of what you've missed. Okay. Um, yeah, it's messy. Yeah, can't. Some of it's hard to keep up with. Yeah. Trees has not been messy. She's been on and popping. Okay. Who do you see in the house? In this house, you see that little emoji signals to me there's someone here that you see that doesn't. It's not a smile. Understands the black and white checkered board. Trees cannot be fooled. Mm. Uh, okay. Maybe is it tongue in cheek? I don't know. All right. Okay. Well, whatever it is, and whoever it is, I can't really tell at this moment. I don't see everything. I'd have to go back up and down. Hey, old school's coming in. Grizzlies, yes. All right. Just let me switch up this background music for just a second. Set the mood here. Fair use commentary. I want to show you this picture. I'm getting it set up. So, in the national news, um, the murder trial began today for the man accused of killing this Georgia student, Laken Riley. I called tonight. Here's why. And before I tell you about this, this is Jose Antonio Ibarra. Okay. He is the 26-year-old suspect. Okay. I'm going to say one of the reasons, but here's why. Trump won. He's one of the reasons why. Mhm. Why Trump won the election. One, the leading issue during the election was the economy. The second most important was immigration. Whether all the numbers added up or not, whether you agree or disagree. This was one of the stories that was told during the Republican National Convention. This is what they were talking about. Okay. The number one story was not on the minds of the populace. I'm talking about what was the leading story when the Democrats were talking about freedom and women's right to choose and abortion. That's very important. But apparently, it wasn't important enough to get over the finish line. But this was. Whether you agree with it or not. Here's why Republicans won. That's the victim. And when I listened to the state, the prosecutor, take to the stand, and oh, by the way, this suspect, he waived his right to a trial, and it's going to be the judge, all right, who will decide this. So they're presenting to the judge. This is Laken Riley. She was that nursing student there in Georgia. I want you to hear just a few seconds of the opening because I want you to hear the voice, and then I'm going to take it from there and go over the opening statement of the prosecutor. Okay. It was riveting. They played her 911 call. It was graphic pictures that they presented and began to talk about. Okay. I'll put her picture back up. That is Tom Holman. He is the newly, uh, we'll just say, appointed border czar by President elect Donald Trump. This suspect is the type of individual that he's talking about deporting. Number one, the criminals, aggravated felony, and those heinous crimes. Okay. We all know who this is. And this time, he's appointing a lot of people to carry out what his plan is. He said what he was going to do, and it's coming to pass. People who he's appointing already are causing uh, controversy. Okay. Just giving you a little background. Again, Lake and Riley, she was a nursing student. Yeah, crime happens. It happens every day. Mhm. But this was one of the victims of crime that was talked about. Mhm. Now, there were victims of crime when the Democratic National Party brought up the women. If you remember, I've watched both of the conventions fully. I watched from start to finish the Republicans. I watched from start to finish the Democrats. And one by one, there were examples, yes, of victims, women, that were, that were brought on stage and they told their stories. And those stories were moving too. I'm talking about women. There was a mother who lost, if you remember, her daughter who couldn't get an emergency abortion. There was a victim who told her story, a young woman, talked about she was AR'd by a family member. I'll just leave it like that. And a decision, if it weren't for the ability to make that decision, she would have had to live with that. Different messages, different victims, different stories, all important. Crime. But was it important enough to take it over the top for the masses? And as a matter of fact, maybe we'll get into this not tonight. I hear that white women, allegedly, are being blamed, partially blamed, for the loss, Vice President Kamala Harris's loss, because they didn't come out in the numbers that she needed to get the vote for women. You know, those statistics are coming in, right? Remember what I said, it doesn't matter. Donald Trump won the popular vote. He's the president-elect. He won. Vice President Harris conceded. He won. And he's going to take office. I'm going to say 60-day range, okay? Because today is the 15th. So now, let me just let you hear what the prosecutor said as she started off. Fair use commentary. This is for news reporting. Let's see if I can just, I don't want to play too much of it. Okay. I didn't want to echo.
May it please the court, counsel. On February 22nd, Jose Ibarra put on a black hat, a hoodie-style jacket, and some black kitchen-style disposable gloves, and he went hunting for females on the University of Georgia's campus. And in his hunt, he encountered 22-year-old Laken Riley on her morning jog. And when Laken Riley refused to be his rape victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly.
It was horrible. The crime scene. Mhm. Here's why he won. One of the reasons he won. He used what? Fear. Mhm. It wasn't unfounded fear. Was it the masses of the migrants coming over across? Hmm. The trial was started off. Graphic body camera evidence was shown. Mhm. He is an undocumented migrant accused in this murder. He's charged with killing this nursing student, and you heard her. He put on these gloves in the morning. She went out for a jog, her morning run, and he went hunting for females on the University of Georgia's campus before encountering his victim. This was according to prosecutors. Body camera footage played in court by the prosecution showed the moment of the UGA Police Department officer locating Riley's body. That was on February 22nd. It was so painful to hear. The mother was, people were just in tears. Many, many, many people. She had to get up and leave the courtroom. So let me pick it up where the prosecutor left off. Let's see. He bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly. That is what this case is all about. The evidence, she said, will show that Lincoln fought. She fought for her life. She fought for her dignity. And in that fight, she caused this defendant to leave forensic evidence behind. Do you know she struggled with this? Let's throw him up again. For 17 minutes. She was wearing a, one of those watches she had received for her parents had given her as a gift. I guess it's called a Garmin watch, where it tracks, your vital signs and that. And at the point when she expired, it stopped. The heartbeat. So it was tracking everything that was going on as well. And again, if this is triggering, this is a fair use commentary. I would, suggest that maybe you listen to something else different tonight. I will. I'll be, careful to um, describe and use words. Yeah. But he's 26-year-old. Was it? Let's see. Wait a minute. I'm looking at something else. Yes. So, according to Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Ibarra was a Venezuelan unlawfully entered the U.S. near El Paso, Texas, where he was apprehended by Border Control agents. That was in 2022. He was later released on parole. Ibarra was previously charged in New York City with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 years old and a motor vehicle license violation. Just so you know. And as those details emerge, Georgia Republicans were swift to blame Riley's death on the Biden administration's immigration policies. You remember that? To point to the policies of the border. So let me go on with this. So the forensic evidence that he left behind in his fight, in his DNA, and only his DNA and hers underneath Riley's right fingernails. He also left behind in the struggle with her over her phone because the court was able to hear that she called 911. So around the 50 seconds into the call, because you can hear noise in the background, but you don't hear a voice until about 50 seconds in. And then there's a sudden stop. He left behind his left thumbprint on her iPhone, which was found not far away from her body at the crime scene. And it is that forensic evidence alone that would give, she said, you enough evidence to find him guilty as charged on the counts in this indictment. But the evidence in this case will come in basically three forms, she said. There will be forensic evidence, there will be digital evidence, and there will be video evidence. And all three forms of those evidence will point to one person, Jose Barra, as the killer of Laken Riley. She said, we're going to start with this timeline, and she painted it. She established the timeline by digital evidence that she said you're going to hear about. And for Laken, in that timeline, it begins basically at 9:03 in the morning. Let's take him down. Just listen. Let's see. Put that back on. Thank you. Trigger warning. That's what I was looking for. Mature audiences only. Okay. Let me continue. Speed it up a little bit. And for Laken, in that timeline begins, as I said, basically at 9:03 in the morning. At 9:03 on Thursday, February 22nd, Laken Riley did something that she does all the time. She went out for a morning jog. She lives not far from the crime scene, And Your Honor, she is going to see several maps. In this case, you will see that where Lake and Riley live, where the defendant lived, where our other victim, who you're going to hear from in this trial, Tessa Swee, lived in building at the University of Housing, at the University of Georgia student housing, where items of evidence were dumped in this case, and where Lakin was murdered there. It's all clustered together. It's all clustered together within, it was about a half a mile radius of one another. There were several maps throughout the case that they referred to. But she left her house at 9:03 in the morning. We know that for several reasons. She was captured, one, on her Ring doorbell, and you'll see the video if I played the video, but you won't see it here, through the first witness that would come up. And then she also was captured on a trail cam that becomes very important in the case. And at about 9:05 a.m., she's captured running from her house down Rogers Road, eventually towards the crime scene where she encounters this defendant. She is running with a few things that are very important. She had two AirPods, and they are noise canceling AirPods. She had her phone. Her iPhone is in her left hand. She is wearing typical running clothes. And you will be able to hear just a little bit about how she runs and what she runs with, because these things are important to judge what eventually happened between her and this defendant on the trail. She wears typically very tight running clothes because that's what's comfortable when you run. So it doesn't get out or doesn't come off or get loose when you're running. And so this particular day, she's wearing running tights, white Hoka shoes, and 3 layers of clothing on top. She's wearing a running bra, a shirt, a tight black, it's called Lululemon jacket, when she leaves her house. And then at 9:11 a.m. exactly, Lakin is a few minutes into her run, and there's some digital data which the prosecutor talks about, which is this garment watch that Lakin had gotten for Christmas. I mentioned it. Well, she was wearing it on her run, and this watch captured a lot of important data. But she's on her run and her phone. She activates her emergency function of her iPhone. So she's doing all the right things. You're also going to hear about testimony of witnesses. Now, again, this is just the first day. Who examined her phone? She activates the emergency function of her iPhone, and she attempts to call 911, and she, in fact, does call 911. Her call is connected to ACCPD, and at 9:12, you can hear that the call was hung up, and she played that call for the court. The call was hung up by the caller, not the 911 center. The 911 center did not hang up on Lake and Riley. They wanted to stress that. The phone hung up, and then at 9:12 they called, tried to call her back, and there was no answer. It was an enhanced version of 911 call because they had sent it for analysis to the FBI in Quantico, where they had attempted to enhance the call. And this one is 1 minute, 8 second call, enhanced version of the call. So then she played it 55 seconds into the call. She said, "You're gonna hear a voice. Clark County, no one. Hello? This is, what is this, 2901. So far, counting all one. Can anyone hear me?" So again, it's the county. They're the 911. They're trying to establish communications. Yo tango. And then there's this long break. And what happens next? It was Blaine's mom, who Lakin usually talks to on her run, who started calling Lakin at around 9:06. Because her history has been she usually, when she's on her runs, she calls her mom, her mother. And then she says you can just see that the call logs and the evidence of that through Lakin's phone. And when she could not reach Lakin, she began calling three of her roommates. So Lakin lived with, there were four young women, in school. And Lakin was one of the nursing students attending. She had transferred to another university close by. The names, the three of them, there was one, Lily Steer, Sophia Magana, and Connolly Huff. All three of them are University of Georgia students at the time. They were all seniors, and Lakin herself was at UG, but had recently transferred to the University of Augusta, Athens, because she wanted to become a nurse. But the four of them still lived together, and they were, roommates. They were all technically savvy. They were aware of all being connected, their iPhones for security. That if one was lost, they could find. So they kept up with each other with their iPhones. And there's a function within the iPhone called Find My iPhone, which you can share your location with other people. And the four ladies in that house, the roommates, they shared their digital location with one another 24/7. So when it came to Allison Phillips, Lakin's mom began calling and looking for Lakin. She notified all of the roommates, and then the roommates started checking. Okay. Even the Ring door camera, checking for Lakin, texting, calling, and getting no response. She went on to say that this particular day, February 22nd, 2024, happened to be the day where there was a widespread phone outage by AT&T. And so some of the girls didn't have or had AT&T as their service provider, but Lakin did not. She had Verizon. And so the girls were having phone problems due to widespread outage. And so you'll hear about how the kind of interfered with their ability to really find where she was. But eventually, they could not find her. They could not find her for hours. And even though Lakin would go out on these long runs, she always had her phone with her. So they became concerned. So then around 11:30 on the day of her murder, two roommates, Sophia and Lily, they went and walked the trails, behind the fields of the university, the intramural fields, um, where Lakin used to run. But they also had her digital profile. Her digital profile put her in the middle of Oconee Forest, and they had noticed that she moved, had not moved for hours. So again, they're able, to track, have this digital profile, and they noticed she had moved for hours. And so they walked to where they could last see her digital profile. And the two roommates found one of Lakin's AirPods. They photographed it, they collected it. They went back to their house where they could have their Wi Fi to connect because they had no phone service in the forest. And the outage was on, and at 12:05 p.m., they called the University of Georgia police and reported it was then that Lakin was missing. So it isn't until the police respond immediately and they take that digital profile that you'll meet this Sergeant Maxwell. He is the officer that found Lakin's body, and it takes him, even with her digital profile, and this is a very forested area, and she obviously wasn't on the running trail. She was off the running trail, and it took him about 25 minutes, even with her digital profile, for him to locate her. And he did locate her. And the prosecutors presenting the evidence said, "You're going to see the body cam is of him locating her." And what he found when he found her is that she was hidden, like kind of almost under a tree and covered up with a bunch of leaves. The first thing that he noticed, again, this is for mature audiences only. This is for education, this is for news reporting. The first thing that he noticed was that her breasts were completely exposed. All three layers of her top clothing had been pulled up around her neck. And he also noticed that her running tights that she typically wears above her navel had been lowered, I'll say, and that her undergarment was protruding from her tights. He also noticed severe injuries to the left side of her head. He began immediately trying to save her life, but he could tell that she was dead. She was cold. He began CPR, and you will see, and they showed this by way of his body cam, the efforts that he made, and several other University of Georgia police officers. They tried to save her. They tried first to move her out of the area so that they could, lie her flat on the ground. They gave her chest compressions. They gave her CPR. They put on those pads on her chest to try to start her heart. And eventually, the fire department and EMS comes and they do the same. They work her for several minutes. But she is dead. She is dead, and there was nothing they could do to stop it or help her. They were able to see the crime scene measurements. She said, "You'll see those." The crime scene in this case was worked by the FBI in conjunction with the UGAPD. In this case, they would hear from GB, FBI, ACCPD. The four of them really in conjunction all worked to try this case. And in this case, in the crime scene, all of them worked it. Also, when they get there really were very few items. That's right. But item number one, where they showed, you see it on the trail, is the other AirPod that Lincoln was wearing at the time she was running. And then they saw this disturbed area of leaves. And then they point to where they found two rocks in a tree, both of whom have all three which have Lakin's blood on them. And then Lakin's body was a few feet away from where you could see the ground there. But then there's her phone was not found near her body. It was found, and they show it, this these different items, number 8, which is another tree that you can see. but her person was taken about 64 feet off the trail. So from where the AirPod is, item number one, to where you can see items 23 and 4, 2 and 3, it's about 65 feet. So she said in legal terms, 64 feet off of the trail so that he could attempt to victimize her. This is the crime scene. And again, it's wooded. You could see how wooded it is, she said, and why it took Sergeant Maxwell so long to find her. And even though he did have her digital profile, it was difficult. This is just the opening statement. It goes on for about 45 minutes, where the prosecutor methodically lays out this case and how this crime unfolded in the crime scene. And so it took them a really long time to find her phone. They were calling on the phone, they were pinging on the phone. Her phone was on silent, so they couldn't hear it. And it wasn't until it got dark that they could find her phone. But they kept looking for her phone because they knew the phone was there. And they found it. And when they found it, this is what Daniela Stewart of the FBI saw her phone exactly where the thumb would be. You go up to hang up the phone on the iPhone. So at the bottom of the iPhone, she found this print in blood. They processed the phone immediately, and that Layton's print was sent to the ACCPD. So again, just setting all this up. And then she went into the data that was on the garment and some things that they will, she said, will never know about exactly what happened between Jose Barra and Lake and Riley on that trail. But we know enough. And what we know is that at 9:10 a.m., from her garment that she was wearing as she was, trucking along, she is running at about a 7-minute mile. She is running, doing her thing, listening to music. Then something happens. He does something to her to make her stop dead in her tracks. She initiates the SOS function on her phone and calls 911, and she immediately stops. After that, you'll see some of this garment data, her movement, because it went to the FBI CAS team. They're the ones that analyze it. And she said, you'll hear about it. She's on this trail with the defendant for about 4 minutes. And then you see 4 minutes later, her garment moved 65 feet into the woods, and then there's some additional movement, and her heart rate is still going at 9:28 a.m. Just imagine she's wearing this and it's tracking everything. Her encounter with him, it was long. Her fight with him was fierce. And that is what the garment data shows. It has this tracing. And once her heart stops at 9:28 a.m., there is no movement from her garment. So what happens next? Well, the UGAPD leave, and they really got nothing on that being peeping Tom incident that had occurred on the campus at 7:57 a.m. So earlier there was this incident. And then they show in this video, you can see that it appears to be him. This man is wearing the same kind of clothing. He's wearing the same baseball cap, and he's walking around the apartment. And it appears that he's trying to gain access into one of these her apartment. So what they do is, it's the combination of good police work and luck. It was pure luck. But they start dumpster diving, and the ACCP, they're going through the dumpsters, and the other authorities going through the dumpsters. The FBI is dumpster diving. Everyone is just looking into every dumpster in the Athens area for anything, because they had nothing. And at a dumpster at an apartment complex where he lived, a police officer named Zach Davis of the ACCPD finds this hoodie jacket. And when he looks in it and sees it, it's a recycling bin, and it's standing out because it's right on top. And he noticed it. It had long dark hair on it, wrapped around one of the buttons. And he could see blood, and he thought that was suspicious. So he calls the UGAPD. They respond at 9 o'clock on the day of Lakin's murder. They collect the jacket found in the dumpster, and they send it immediately to the FBI crime lab to indicate for testing. But while they are there, they notice, they look around and see that one of the residents in this apartment, resident in B32, has what's called an up camera, which is like a ring camera that works a little different. Had a camera aimed at that dumpster. So they asked the resident that night, "Oh, can we come in? Can we see your camera?" So he agreed to let them see it. And this is what they saw at 9:44 in the morning, about 15 minutes after Laken Riley's heart stopped. This is what they see. So they saw an individual who did that. They did not know who it was at the time, dump the jacket in the dumpster and go to the bushes there and dump something there. Again, this is, you know, great detective work. Some of it sheer luck. So then they go to the bushes, and this video had been enhanced. And she says, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of testimony about this video enhanced the best that they could. And I know the court sat through some motions to suppress this black Adidas hat. There was a lot of discussion about, and you're going to hear more about those things. But this is an image that they locked in on and began to circulate around the neighborhood, or as the cops call Bolo, be on the lookout for this individual. They didn't know who he was, and they circulated that. But they did go also that night, still the night of February 22nd, to the bushes, and they found 3 black disposable kitchen gloves. And those gloves were also sent immediately to the lab. And one of the interesting things about the black disposable gloves, when they got to the crime scene and they were analyzed, they have this picture taken at the crime lab, is that on the thumb of the gloves, there was a hole, and there was also other holes in the gloves. And they found them, but on the thumb area of one of the gloves that the crime lab examined, they found a hole, and they also found blood, and that the blood was later to be determined to be Laken Riley's blood on those gloves. So then the prosecutor says, I've already told you about the geographic locations. They're all clustered. You can see, and she shows this map. The crime scene is at the top in the middle, called body crime scene. The dumpster where the items were found is marked. Building is right by the bus stop, and then Laken Riley lives further up. It was on Mild Avenue towards the top of the photo. But the distance between the building, which will become important in Laken Riley's body, is about 300 yards. The distance between the dumpster and Laken Riley's body is about 500 yards. And the distance between the dumpster and the bus stop where the defendant lived, because he lived in that apartment complex, is about 150 yards. So everything is close together. So what happened in the next investigation is that the very next morning on Friday, February 23rd at 8:32 a.m., as ACCPD again is just looking out for anything. They had a bolo at that point. They encountered a person named Diago Obara, and Diago Obara is wearing black Adidas hat. That has some interest to them, which is they believe to be identical to the hat that they had seen in the video the night before. I'm going to pause just for a second to make sure. Let me look at the chat. Let's see. Mark my time here. Yes, trigger warning. He was stalking. Yes. He was, when he got up that morning of the murder, he put on those black gloves and he went hunting for his victim, a woman. Now, I'm going to ask a question. So, we talked about this the other night. People protesting, separating families. I don't know if he has family. We will probably learn if he has, But he was here undocumented, illegally. He had committed crimes in New York. He was released and he made his way down to Georgia. 26-year-old Venezuelan. Remember the ads that were running during the campaign? These Venezuelan gangs. Whether it was exaggerated or not, it worked. Trump's message toward the end of the campaign, what did he say? He's going to protect the women. Somehow the message shifted. Somehow, well, you know what? I won't say shifted. Let me take that back. The message was clear, but there were additional things that were emphasized. And that was one of them. The women. Remember, he had the men, the male vote. Remember when they were showing the statistics and we talked about the numbers, the polls, where Vice President Kamala Harris, she had the majority of the women supporting her in the same, almost proportionate as Trump had the men. So what did they do on their campaign, the Republicans? Trump, he started to appeal more to women. And how did he do it? I'm going to protect you. So now you've got women, they're trying to weigh, do I want to be protected? Crime. What's more important? This candidate's going to, the economy. He's going to do this. He's going to, take care of the crime. He's going to deport these criminals that are hurting and doing all these things to women. And they started showing the pictures and talking about the statistics in women. Mhm. While on the other hand, the message was freedom, women, mhm, women's right to abortion. But he wasn't talking about that message. He was talking another message to women. So then, how did Vice President Kamala Harris, when her campaign recognized that they needed to appeal to more men? What did she do? What was her messaging for the men? What happened around that time is one of they thought was assuring is former President Obama. Put him out on the trail, okay? Have him talk to the men directly. He had some small groups and then larger groups. And basically say, you got to vote for Kamala Harris. And surely people thought if President Obama could talk to the men directly, especially African American men, that he would surely win them over. Something happened, though. It didn't work. Not in the numbers that they needed. So then Trump was pulling, he was pulling the male vote. But then he started winning. More women started listening to him. So I'm just wondering, were those some of the white women who are being blamed for causing the loss for the Democrat? Were some of them beginning to listen to Trump because he got the popular vote? hmm But what did the women start to focus on? Their safety. And what is important to women? It's our safety. Sure, we want freedom. We want reproductive rights. But he began to use a tactic, and it played over and over about these gangs, about these illegal migrants coming into the country. He stayed on that. He led with that. If you watched his campaign, there were pictures. He stayed with that. And if you tracked what people were interested in, second to the economy, they were concerned about the border. And women could begin to see these men being released into areas, right? Whether you agreed with him or not, there were there was some fear going on. People were saying he was fear mongering. Mhm. Oh, people definitely voted their pocketbook. They did for their family. And people asked the question, well, how could they vote for Donald Trump with all the things that he did? Convicted felon, 34, you know, this and this and that. Do you know right now that they're looking at throwing out a number of those charges and wrapping up those cases and basically throwing them out? And that there's delay in the decision, even in the cases in New York? Mhm. And the clock is ticking. He's going to be in office. And you can't prosecute a sitting president. If they don't, sentence him and do all of these things are being delayed. So he'll be in office for 4 years. And by that time, what do you think? Yeah. There's just the opening statement, and I didn't finish it because of the time. I just wanted to give you a sense of the gravity and then ask you this question too. I was going to ask you, what would you want? This individual out on the streets? Do you want Tom Holman to deport him back to Venezuela? Or if he has family, would you rather see him and others like him, well, not be separated from their family? If, this is a court of law, he's in the US, you're innocent until proven guilty. He waived his right. He didn't even want to, his lawyer convinced him, or he said to his lawyer, I don't even want a trial by jury. Mhm. If he's found guilty, or if there's someone like him that's doing these heinous crimes, and I didn't even, describe it the way it could have been. When Laken Riley didn't cooperate with him and give in to him, she's struggling for 17 minutes. What did he do? He picked up a large rock and bashed her skull in. And still, this is what he's being alleged to have done to this woman. Would you feel sorry for him if he's found guilty, if the evidence is overwhelming? If he were deported and he had family here in the state, are you going to feel sorry for him? Or rather, you're going to think about Lake and Riley. You see, that's the story that the Republicans, and you don't have to be Republican, but the Republicans were asking. It's the heinous crime. That's who they're going to start with. So if they just focus, let's say, this whole plan to deport all of these illegal immigrants, that's not going to happen. I don't believe it for a moment. But if they focus on the worst, the criminal element, again, those who have committed heinous crimes, would you accept that? Apparently, the popular vote said yes to Trump. But the pictures painted, well, the families, they're being pulled away from their family. What example did I give? Men go to prison every single day. They're away from their family. Why should he be entitled to stay because he has family and he's committed a heinous act? Tell that to the family of Lake and Riley and others, things that have happened. Mhm. This is only the beginning. Only the beginning. And he's sitting there listening as the audio plays, where you can hear the noise on her cell phone when she's making that 911 phone call. If he's found guilty. And don't forget, he was charged with crime against a child in New York. Oh, I'm only talking about those, again, I've got to stress, heinous, aggravated assault, aggravated felonies, aggravated crimes against children, heinous crimes, unspeakable crimes. It's 10 o'clock. Let's take him off there. It's a question. It's a real question because the popular vote said uh, deport. Um, so the Democrats, you know, is there going to be a border bill? Are the two sides, are they going to finally agree on something? But while they're trying to figure that out, a Tom Homan, who's been put in charge, the borders are, it begins. Day one, isn't that what Trump said? The first day in office, he's going to reverse. Probably what President Joe Biden has put into place. Here's why the Republicans won. Just one of many reasons. Yeah. I don't know if you can blame, um, they're looking to blame someone, some group. No, really, they're looking to blame. Um, Now it's white women that didn't come out in the numbers. Let me see if I can establish a receipt for that. Now they're saying how white women doomed Kamala Harris. Opinion: who voted for Trump? White women. Los Angeles Times: white women handed Trump the election. USA Today: white women. Kamala Harris's campaign and her acolytes angered a lot of women, talking down to conservative women. White women being branded weak sisters for voting for Trump. Joy Reid, MSNBC, blames white women for Harris losing. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's all over. Um, it was supposed to be a shoe-in for women in the majority to be drawn to her message. Remember, on the very first, I'll say the very first day or two, wasn't it white women who put together, that massive uh, video conference call? There were all of these white women who had come together, pouring in, and it appeared that she had gained all this newfound support. And now they're being blamed. I never thought I'd hear that. But yeah. Hmm. 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 No, seriously. Here's why. I think one of the reasons. That story, like many others, are being told. And he's on trial now. Today was his first day. And I will definitely be um, following that one. It will probably end. I mean, he's not being tried by a jury, but still, the deliberation, the judge will have to, decide on all the charges. Yeah. After, all the evidence comes in, after the state has rested their case, and then the defense puts forth, tries to knock out any of the evidence, like the hat, like the hoodie that was found, or but how do you explain away um, someone's DNA? Two people's DNA being found on the same glove or under the fingernails. Yeah. All right. I think I'm going to leave it there. Maybe I'll play just one or two songs, but I've been on now for 143. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the Grizzlies. It is Friday. I mean, it's not that late, is it? I just started early. That's all. Let me read a few of your comments. What do you think? Am I being too harsh? Actually, I'm just giving my opinion. And yeah, talking about this story, which is really, it's really a sad one because, she was part of a community, nursing students, and it shook up the university, the women, you know, in the area. You know, people are going to say, well, you know, women, which should be running alone. It was during the morning. She had her watch on. She had everything. She was doing the right thing. Whoever did that to her, and well, they have their suspect. We need to look at what he did, whoever they find guilty. Why is it that we seem, that just in general, there seems to be a lot of sympathy for not the women, but these perpetrators, the men, in a lot of these cases? I don't know. Oh, it's because they have children. That's what it is. Is that what it is? Well, if they have children, and they do, a lot of them, what kind of example are they setting for their children? Hmm. You know, Mayor Eric Adams, he is filling up buses. You haven't seen those pictures? And he's sending a lot of the immigrants that were sent to New York, he's busing them right back to Texas and Chicago or wherever they came from. You didn't hear about that? Let me see. He has trouble of his own though. So 6 days ago, despite the court loss, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said fewer buses brought immigrants to the city after the lawsuit was filed. So this judge blocked New York effort to stop Texas migrant buses. So Eric Adams, well, he said that the migrant crisis will destroy New York. Mhm. And that he's not receiving enough national support for the crisis. I wonder how that's going to work. Yeah. Oh, Gia says, Teddy, I hope you covered the trial once it's on. It's on now. I want you to see it. You know I would have covered this. Today was the first day. Mhm. Today was the first day. So instead, I'm looking at transcripts and, you know, I played about 15 seconds and gave 2 hours of commentary on it, right? Mhm. Joanne says the way that Teddy was telling this story was like she was Dexter Morgan. Hmm. It's a true crime story. It's eerie, it is. But it happened during the day, which is, you know, I don't know very many women who run alone at night. I don't. During the day, you kind of think I do, uh, that people are going to be around. Yeah. And, someone would hear if you scream. I don't know how he came up on her so quickly because she can run. She can run pretty fast, but she's got her, earbuds. She's got her phone. She's on her phone and, listening to music, like runners do. And then suddenly he descends on her. So he obviously was hiding, waiting, just lurking, waiting for his victim, waiting for a victim to come through where he was. I mean, it's just gruesome. It is. After he does all of that, then he tries to hide her and cover her up. Then, if it's found, tries to get rid of this evidence. I wonder who he lived with. They said I thought they mentioned he had a brother. So this was in March. Yes, he does have a brother, Diago. So this is what that's another thing. They say that they may try to point, you know, at the brother. But anyway, Diago Ibarra, the brother of Jose Ibarra, he had been arrested for possessing an illegal visa, and prosecutors want him locked up before he can stand trial because of his long history of alleged criminal conduct. So let's see. Oh, he's locked up. That was in March. So the brother of the man accused of murdering the nursing student uh, is to remain locked up pending trial. Yeah. So here you have it. You know, brothers. So Diago was arrested on February 22nd for allegedly giving authorities a fake green card after he was stopped by police for matching the description of his brother, Jose Ibarra, who's the one, you know, now on trial and charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, kidnapping, obstructing an emergency call, concealing the death of another. Y'all don't want me to say it. You know, this catch and release. Uh-huh. This is why. Here's why. Here's here's why Tom Holman said if ICE doesn't cooperate, if the mayors don't cooperate, they're going for the criminals first. He said, "You're going to have to get out of my way," because he's going to protect the children. Mhm. Because we're not even talking about the children that um, are said to be hundreds of thousands of them who have come over and have just disappeared into, you know, where are the children? Maybe some of them are going to good families, and maybe some of them are, you know, going to not so good. Mhm. You know what the term is, right? Yes, he caught her off guard. He did. I, you know, I can't remember the Delphi murders. Gruesome. Mhm. Oh, yes, Gia, I partially answered your statement. I hope you covered the trial. I said it began today. So, yeah. Have you ever followed me on Station Head? Like maybe this might be one of the kind of things I could, do on Station Head. So you could hear, the audio. Because I want you to be able to hear the witnesses, hear what's going on in the courtroom. I'm telling you. Oh, okay. I've been good so far. I haven't even talked about. Okay, it's late. It's 10:30 or 10:23. Uh-huh. Yeah. What is this, Teddy? You had me frightened. I turned on my lights. It's kind of a scary story. It is. Mhm. Because it's real. It's real crime. Yeah. But it's something that needs to be talked about. And I, kind of talked about two in one: the politics around it, and what the the real human aspect around it too. She was someone else's child. She sure was. And her parents are there in the courtroom. And he's sitting there stone face. Stone face. Young. 26-year-old. No, he's a grown man. 26. He's good and grown. Mhm. Yeah. Let me check my email. And I said I'd play some music. Um, it's at least until 10:30. I'll be right back. Stole my heart with that sound. Love to live. Then you fight every single round. Love to live. Thought I had
caught by a feeling, goes beyond the right or wrong, gets me what I want. I'm hanging by a string, gotta get up on my feet, get to what I need, and I am flying through the streets on neon wings. Once I get to you, I don't want anything. Girl, I'm so addicted, just like you predicted. I know, don't shut me down. Can't you see that? I wanna taste the night. I can hear the calling. And I'm gonna lose the fight. I can hear the calling. Hear the calling, hear the calling, hear the calling. The calling. The calling. The calling. It's all you got me believing. When I hear the sirens call, all I do is fall. I lose all control. There is something in your voice. I don't have a choice, and now I'm flying through the streets on neon wings. Once I get to you, I don't want anything. Girl, I'm so addicted, just like you predicted. I know, don't shut me down. Can't you see that? I wanna taste the night. I can hear the calling. And I'm gonna lose the fight. I can hear the calling. Hear the calling, hear the calling, hear the calling. The calling, hear the calling. When I hear the calling, oh, the calling. Hear the calling, hear the calling. When I hear the calling, yeah. Hi, hi, what do? Calling, yeah. Call me, baby, yeah. I hear the calling. I hear the calling.
All right, so that is going to do it for me tonight. It is 10:32. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the Grizzlies. Please hit the like on your way out. Join me sometime tomorrow. I can't say if I'm going to be on first thing in the morning or not. It depends on something that I may have to do in the morning. All right, that is it. That is all. Email me at unmymateddy@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.
Walk, keep on walking straight to the hell we made. Why always a wall, babe, when we wanna come closer? tell a million lies, kill the butterflies. I just wanna make things right. Walk, keep us on the road. Try to find what we had before. Can this spark ignite or is it gone? Won't you stop? Don't you shut us down. Speak before we hit the ground. Tell me now what's on your mind. I hear voices telling me you need to let him go. There's nothing there worth fighting for. I just need to know if one thing is true. Do you still love me like you used to do? What if they alright? Baby, can we still shine? Tell me that we'll be fine. Are we still alive? What if they alright? Baby, can we still shine? Tell me that we'll be fine. Are we still alive? Walk, turn around and walk away. It's the easiest way, they say, but I don't wanna give us up. Us to make it will be the hardest thing to lose out on every single dream, and I don't plan on giving us up. I hear voices telling me you need to let him go. There's nothing there worth fighting for. I just need to know if one thing is true. Do you still love me like you used to do?